afternoon to our viewers. Here is another session on spirituality, and the today's invitee, so to say, or the interviewee is none other than Dilmi Mahadurage, and she's no stranger to my channel. She has done sessions in both the English and Sinhala language. And today we decided to do this session in English for the benefit of the viewers across the world, and to communicate our message on how to find solace or serenity within. So the topic today is finding me is finding the purpose of life. Finding me is finding the purpose of life. And probably I will place that even as a question to Dilmi. Now, to give a short introduction about Dilmi, Dilmi is a graduate of Sri Jagannath University in Sri Lanka, and she is also conducting neuro-linguistic programs. She's a qualified accountant, and today she is a professional counselor, and she has a vast number of clientele, and they are depending on Dilmi for their day-to-day problems, be they, just a day's problem, or be they any kind of problems that are connected to life and existence. So with that introduction, I would like to invite Dilmi to this program. And Dilmi, let me start with the question about life and existence. Now, just to give a small background, everyone in the world is searching. No matter what, everyone is searching. Searching for peace, searching for wealth, searching for publicity, searching for power, searching for higher designations. I mean, it's always what is next, what is next, what is next. Is that the purpose of life? Let's start with that.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, that is many of the people's purpose in their life. And even though that is the purpose, in deeper, they are also looking for themselves. They are looking for completion. They are looking to be a whole. But yet, they find to become the whole in a narrow ways. Like sometimes some people accumulate wealth, so I have more money. Like I have $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. So it's like becoming more, I'm becoming more like. And then another person would be having a family, 1 child, 2 children, and 3, and likewise, like. And it's like accumulation, like constant accumulation in a materialistic world. At the end, in a deeper way, that what they also trying to become is the whole. But then they find it in different ways. And some like I saw one time, like in a newspaper, one guy, he had sex with like 455 women or something like that, and put a party or something like that. And that also he's trying to become, like doing more and more and more. But these means are like in a narrow ways, in a way to become whole. But in reality, what we are all looking for is to become the whole, to feel complete. The only time that I've ever experienced that is when my mind is like when there's a no mind state, where I was like everything and everyone, like I became connected with it. That was the time that I felt complete, that I felt I'm the whole, thinking that I was like just a part of the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, now people are searching for something which they believe will bring happiness to them. Now,
Yeah.
there is a very obvious factor here, very apparent, and it's quite evident that, you know, the moment you achieve what you want in mundane terms, you will have some pleasant experience. You will be happy for that moment. And then it is only for that moment. And then something else arises thereafter. And then you will begin to go after whatever the desire that will arise thereafter. So it's a never-ending thing. But I want you to clarify this, by searching for anything, you are actually looking for yourself. But then probably the people don't know that. So can you just explain now? Say you just mentioned that you are really looking for your true nature. That is something that you mentioned here. Just clarify that.
Yeah, like one time I was sharing with my clients, like everyone is looking for enlightenment, but in different forms. Everyone is looking for happiness. Like let's use the word happiness, then there's no technical terms again. Everyone is looking for happiness, but in different forms. But the ultimate bliss in your life is once you find who you are, once you find your true nature. And that's why there's the conflict. That's why there's the whole conflict. Just like you mentioned, Dr. Vipula, like this, it's just never ending, The reason is like we are just constant in a search. One time when we get something, we are happy for some time. Even that is because the search was over, like that striving was over for that particular moment, at least you're content. And then that is our nature of our mind. I always urge people to try to understand the nature of our mind. One time I remember like this really hits me at one point that like mind is like a begging bowl, bottomless begging bowl. Like bottomless. What I mean is like you put a bottomless like let's say you put an apple into that bowl, like the baking bowl, it just goes right away, and then you put something again, it goes right away. And that is something very similar to our mind. It just never, you can never feel this because it's just a bottomless baking bowl. And this is what everyone is trying to do. When you go and ask a really rich man, are you content now? And then the guy says, no, I don't have the private jet yet. And then once I get that, I'll be. So see, and you put it into like this baking bowl, you put the private jet, and then you arrive with some, I don't know what then. you know, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But then there will be a kind of a negative connotation. Now, those who are listening to this conversation will get the impression, okay, this lady is now saying that mind is a bottomless bucket, whatever you put, it just goes away. And your desires never end, and you will just go after them. Uh, but then, are you implying that people should not have expectation, or people should not have their goals, or people should not plan for tomorrow or day after, or maybe 5 years time what I ought to be doing? Now, what you are saying, is it conflicting with, for instance, planning for your future?
No, doctor, not exactly. It's just completely, I'm not saying like not to plan or not to have goals. In fact, I have my plans and I have tomorrow sessions and all that. I have a plan going on and I have things that I need to do. That is not at all what I'm saying. Like you could have whatever the goals you have, like, and when you are striving for that, just be observed, and the pleasure and at the same time the suffering part of it, like when you're striving for it, how much effort and how much suffering you go through in order to just be mindful on that and do the same process just like before. And with being observing, like many things will start happening, like whatever needs to drop will drop. And if you can do all these things without getting like, okay, like you have a goal, but this has to happen this way. Exactly. Like you are so attached to the outcome, and that's when the suffering comes. If you can do what you are required to do, but then you let the universe to take care of the outcome without getting so much attachment, you will be fine, and you will not suffer, and you'll be I mean, here's the thing, Dr. Vipula, we are constant in a striving. What matters is we are content at this moment. A person who is not content in this moment will not be content in the future moment, because this happens constant. It's just a habit. It's just a pattern. In reality, there's no person here, but a patterns running. It's just you are a bunch of patterns, Dr. Vipula. Everyone is a bunch of patterns. And when a client comes, what I do is I break all their patterns. I just shatter all those patterns and let them not be who they are, and then they become completely a different human being, because it's all patterns. you know
Mhm. Right. Now, you said something very crucial. You said planning takes place, desires arise. Yes, you are wanting to accomplish certain missions. Okay, good.
yeah
But be mindful as to what drives you towards that. I think that's a very, very valid point, because that will enable the person to be closer to himself, or rather ask himself or herself exactly what is going on in me. Why do I need that? What drives me to reach there? Obviously, which means that I am not happy right now. So if that person is not happy or not content, as you said, then he has a problem, obviously, because he thinks that I'll be okay in the next moment. Yes. Now that takes us uh, to ask the next question. Now, this is a question which I thought I should ask you today. I was at the beach and I was looking at the billions of these waves on the surface of the sea. And I was just looking at it, and the immediate thought that came into me, like I just tried to do some comparison, and I said, it's still the sea, irrespective of what happens on surface. Those waves, just kind of, you see all these waves, and still it's a sea. And I felt it's just one, it is just oneness. And the realization of that can have a transformation in anyone, because this is,
yeah
you are that, I am that. But then you need to break the the shell and then come out of it to have some kind of a recognition of what I just said. I'm sure you can elaborate it in a better way.
Yeah, doctor, in that, like what you shared about the sea and the ocean and the waves, like these people are like the waves, it looks like a unit of the ocean, you know. But in reality, you have no idea that you are the ocean. Looks like that you are a wave, you know. And the day you merge with the ocean, you realize, oh my God, I was just the whole time thinking that I was just a unit, you know. And at the same time, the power you have within you is unbelievable, you know. And you are so afraid to see that. That's the best part. You are so scared to see how much power you have within you. And to be very honest, Dr. Vipula, there were times that I felt like screaming, because I felt like my like this. I had handcuffs and
Mhm.
it was just like releasing, and then I felt like screaming because there's much of energy coming into your system. I mean, this sounds a little bit dramatic, and that's why I don't even share this kind of stuff, but that is the reality. And at the time that as I was describing that the awakening moment, right 1 second, like I can't talk in time here, but 1 second before, I was like, I was terrified. I was terrified. And just like I'm telling you, you have no idea who you are and how powerful you are and how much energy you have, you know. And once you just like get that energy, when you unleash that,
You are the uniform. Now you are the
yeah.
universe. Now tell me, when you are going through that excruciating moment, the pain, the you were just describing it. What happened from that moment to freedom? It how shall I say? It's difficult to ask you. Once you were handcuffed and you were, you know, caught up in this, and
I
you
feel
want,
like those were releasing, like,
yeah. So that
yeah.
that breaking away from the shackles of what did you
But
do? Yeah. Or what
but
happens?
the best part is, Dr. Ipul, even though I felt like physically I had handcuffs, it's all mental. It's all the mind game. Our mind is just everything at the end, the mind, just the mental. Okay, going back to your question, what you were asking, Dr. Ipul.
You now that the moment where you felt you were a separate person and you were unhappy and you were handcuffed and you were, from that moment to awakening, that shift, the transformation that you experience within you, did what did you do, or what happened, or uh, can you describe that? But we used to hear this thing from various people who, um, you know you name some of these people, and they relate that experience one way or another. So much so, there was, I think, one person, I think it was Tony Parsons, or he said he went down to tie his shoelace while he was walking through the park, and then while he was tying the shoelace, suddenly when he um, looked around, everything has changed, everything was new, something like that.
Yeah.
So the ones who are listening to this will want to know, hey, that's why, in fact, some of the questions that we have received on the interviews that we
Yeah.
have done, they want to know, is there any exercise that I have to do, any technique that is there? I know this is difficult question, but I'm still trying to get you to answer this.
Yeah, like after the awakening, doctor, what happened was like it blew my mind how my mind was deceiving the whole time, and Like, honestly, Dr. Vipula, I am a very emotional person. So what happened to me was I cried so much because, like, I saw the whole nightmare was over, so I was just crying, and at the same time, I was in awe with the whole creation, like I remember, like I went and I just watch. I was just observe like the rain, you know. I mean, like how the clouds changing into the gray color and the process, and then it's just so amazing,
It's amazing,
like
isn't it? It's
it's amazing. And
amazing.
even the ways, even when the like I remember one time I was like swimming, and it was raining, everyone was out, but I just stayed. And then I could see when I'm swimming, like the way the drops falls, and it's just unbelievably beautiful. So
Uh,
just so
can I
beautiful.
can I
Yeah,
then ask you now? Say for example, now you said it's a mind game. So the mind creates this, and mind
yeah,
expect you to believe all that as real. Now we'll go into a very grassroots practical example. Say you wake up in the morning and then you know wash your face and you do then you will prepare your breakfast and then you have it and then you will plan out what your appointments are and then you organize yourself. Now that's something essential that happens in your day to day. That's you leave that aside. Then there are psychological issues, while doing that. I'm not referring to you really, the person,
yeah,
what is essential. But then there are things that, yesterday I had this issue, right? It's I must make up my mind not to come into those circumstances again. Or that person will say, okay, tomorrow I have all this that I had to go through. What do I do? I need to. And then at the same time, the problems with relationships, problems with families, problems, all that. Now, which one are you referring to? The mind game? Is it the both, that what you do normally day to day, and the mental or psychological things? Or is it only that psychological aspects with which people either suffer or be happy, but the routines will continue as they are? So when you say mind game, exactly which one are you referring to?
yeah. I'm referring to the whole thing is a mind game.
I, I tried to trap you actually. Uh, I tried to trap you. That's all right. Then everything that happens in which you think it's your experience and you are separate and you are the one who is doing it, that is what the mind
That is
wants
where
you
the
to believe.
suffering comes, doctor.
Mhm. Please
And
go on.
this distinction is created by your mind. Like mind is the one which creates, otherwise the whole thing is the whole, you know. And even your mind is very capable of trying to make parts of it, segments of it, you know. Okay, Sri Lankan, Indians, Australians, and Americans, and Europeans, segment now separated. And then Muslims and Buddhist and Catholic now separated, you know. And not only that, Dr. Vipula, like keep aside that, like that is like an obvious separation. And look at anger, anger, and then the sexuality, and then the jealousy, and then the happiness, and then the sadness, and then the loneliness, or whatever, these emotions also being separated, and then there's the conflict. And then comes the conflict, and then now you don't want anger, now you want happiness, now you don't want jealousy, you want the bliss and then the compassion, you know. Here we go. You got caught. your mind got again, back again. But you think, oh, like you think like the anger, like how dare you say that the anger, like, no, I'm not justifying, just understand. And you are rejecting anger, you are angry with the anger. Even accept your anger. This whole thing is like mind is playing it really nicely with you. And you get caught again and again. Again and moment to moment, you are being deceived by your mind. Moment to moment. I'm telling this to my clients. Like, I'm really like, with my clients every day, their sleep is getting disturbed, because I'm sending reminders. And so, moment to moment, you are being nicely deceived by your mind. And it's playing the game, and it's high time you look at the backstage of the mind. You go to the stage and just open the curtains of the backstage and see what's going on here. And that's what I ask you to do. Go to the stage and go to the backstage and just open the curtain and what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Now it's quite understandable. And remember, Dilmi, although I'm raising these questions on behalf of a vast audience, and these may well be the questions that will, it's a general thing. So that's why sometimes some of these questions that I'm raising may look stupid, but that's perfectly all right, because that could well be I mean, sometimes a
Will
simple
be another
question.
person's question.
Exactly. Now you explain this anger, hatred, jealousy. That's happening at one level. But then if you take a step back, then there's a basic like seeing, hearing, touching, the taste, the basic, the very, very basic experience. What are they?
Yeah. So now again, like Dr. Vipula, like, yeah, so that's the illusion. If you ask me, like, what are they? That's what keeps the illusion alive. And you think you have eyes and you think you see the things. I was doing like two clients came from Sri Lankan, two clients came to me recently. And then they were like, I asked them to like describe a dream that they had, and then I said, when you were having the dream, where you were? They said, I'm on the bed. And how was your eyes? Eyes were closed. And and then I asked, how did you see the dream? Your eyes were closed. And then she's like, oh, it's my mind. Like, it's not the eyes. Do you see? Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, that's why I'm saying, Dr. Vipula, this is the loophole that I go back to the dream again, because this is like the loophole, because your eyes were closed. You think you're seeing from the eyes. No, you're seeing from the mind. And then that keeps the alive, that this illusion keeps alive through seeing, through feeling, through hearing, through tasting. It keeps so beautiful. Who even wants to go beyond that? Because it looks so beautiful. And when I was in the Disney world, they have created in like a magical world, like heavenly, magical, beautiful world, And then the existence loves you so much. You loved something like that, and then it gives again and again and again and again, until you are done with the thing. Existence loves you because you want that, you create that, so it's being given to you. That's why I sometimes say that you have been entertained by this dream, and that's why you're still here. You have some entertainment here. Because at that moment, that when I put all my heart into this, when I went 100% into it, I realized that, you know what, there's nothing in here. I am done. I
Oh
am
yeah.
done. I am very much done. There's nothing. And I came to a convinced place. I came to a convinced, and before that, Dr. Vipula, I would urge some people to go and explore their curiosities. Don't just repress those and think, okay, like if you are curious about skydiving, please go do it. Sometimes I had some curiosities like that. And I just fulfilled, and I just really go and fulfilled it, and then like, there's nothing even in here. What I say is just don't make assumptions and repress your desires and just act like you are desireless now because you have heard some sort of spiritual sermon, so many spirituality. Like, don't act like that. Just be like, forget about absolute truth, please. At least be real, come to the relative truth. Be who you are for real. Be honest. If you like someone, if you desire something, just be honest. And then go for it. And then just go fulfill it and then see it. I did that. I had some curiosities like that. For example, spiritual relationship. Because I get hooked with relationship. I get hooked with relationships, and that was my weakness. So, and I thought like maybe the spiritual relationship can give me this, because love is very powerful. Truth equals love. Love is truth,
Mm,
you know. So I get hooked with this whole relationship thing because the love is very powerful force. And then you're merging with another person, you feel like a whole.
mm,
And then that's so beautiful. So I always get hooked with this relationship thing. So I went and I was curious, maybe a spiritual relationship, there's something in
mm.
there. And I went and I did that, and then
You're back to
I thought
square.
there's nothing.
uh,
I'm just sharing because I know the people they also have curiosities. Don't act like now you're so spiritual. I don't have this. Don't, just be honest, please. Just at least come to the relative truth of who you are. Forget about absolute truth.
I'm actually hitting at very, very practical, you know, I'm just targeting this bottom line when I'm questioning you. So now let's say a businessman who is running a business and he also is curious to know what spirituality is all about. So he has some uh, desire to follow some path and have an understanding about this life. Now he sits in the morning and he has a business, or he has two business strategies. One is going for a short-term thing, and then you deploy that and skim the profit. That's one strategy in terms of these are business parlance. Huh? The other one, he will feel, okay, if I do that, I will have a problem in sustainability. So I will not be able to sustain my business in the long run. So therefore, I need to pedal slow, and therefore, let's do it. Now, there are two business decisions he has to make, and for which he has a rationale for both. Okay. Now, you got to make a decision at some point of time. And in this understanding, if you are to advise him, if he's caught up in this situation, from the spiritual perspective, of this oneness perspective, the universal perspective, what would you tell that person?
I would tell that to the person, like sometimes people might say, okay, like now is the most important, forget about like that kind of a notion would come, and then they would go towards the short-term gain, and the
Yeah.
short-term gain, okay, let me just make profits as much as per the spirituality, this moment is what matters, and I'm not sure about tomorrow, so I might as well just do some tricks and get some you know like this, some sort of a short-term thing, and then well, what I would suggest the person is go for the sustainable one.
Okay.
go for
But
the sustainable one. Yeah, and because that is what helps the other person and also help yourself. And the person who is doing that get rich quick, whatever the scheme that they do, and I'm sure that they are just ripping off from the other person, like they are benefiting, but the other person, like they just, that's why I said this, the whole thing is a whole, and you are impacting that moment to moment. Remember, you're dealing with yourself. Other person is who you are, but the mind is a game, as I said, that creates the separation. It looks like the other person is separate to you, but in reality, you are all connected. And that is the exact message that Jesus is trying to tell by with the love. And then there's so much about love in that message. And that's exact the message is. And I won't go into the religion, but yet,
mhm.
yeah.
I mean, even Lord Buddha was also speaking about this metta,
Yes,
and the
for sure.
metta of the highest order. I see this metta can't be understood in, you just offer something,
No,
a lunch
no,
packet to
no.
someone. That's not
Yeah.
the metta. Metta, I believe, is the universal love or the unconditional love. I think unconditional love can arise. I keep saying this. I don't know, a lot of people, they question me, what are you trying to say? I said, unconditional love arises only when you know you are also the other person,
When you
I mean,
know who you are.
yeah. Okay, that's a better way of saying,
Yeah,
but when the other
yeah.
person also, and isn't that thing that bringing us to this, uh, the concept, what we call oneness, everything is one, and how do you relate that to the mind game? There's on the one hand oneness, which we can also identify as emptiness or nothingness, or and then you also have the mind game. So now these two are kind of, how do you relate these two? There's a mind game on the one hand, then there's also oneness, and then you are caught up in between. So how does this understanding takes place in terms of these concepts that I mentioned?
Yeah, like if you take so if you take this whole thing is like the consciousness,
Right.
and then the whole thing, like let's take a clay. Like I think I have also shared
Yeah,
this one time.
Dilmi,
Like,
I have to interrupt you. I want you to
yes,
clarify one thing before you give me the answer. There is
yeah,
consciousness, there is mind, there are thoughts. Can you just explain the difference between these two? Because then you can answer that, please. Because, some people, when you say consciousness, for some people it's mind. For some people, when you say thoughts, it's conscious. Just clarify these three terminologies: thoughts, mind, consciousness.
yeah. So the mind is the form, in that if you take the consciousness is the emptiness.
Beautiful.
Consciousness is the emptiness, but at the same time pregnant with the form. Like it can create any form. It can create anything. It's like a canvas where you can draw any picture. And then the canvas is empty, but you can draw anything, and it has the potential of anything to pop up in that canvas. It has the potential of all the shapes and the colors, and everything is just in that canvas. And that canvas, the paintings and all that is the mind. And that is that the whole thing is the drawing, and then what you are painting in that thing is the thoughts.
Like
you know
the TV screen and the movie.
yes,
What about the
yes.
thoughts?
Yeah, thoughts are this the form, like that the
Okay.
drawing, whatever you are creating, just moment to moment, it's just the drawing, you
All
know.
right. So now please
Yeah.
explain the question. I asked you the question. On the one hand, there is this emptiness, and then you have the mind game, which the emptiness allows you see, and then thoughts, images, sensation, perceptions, emotions, you name all that appears. And that self is caught up. Self is caught up. Now you try to,
Yeah.
help the audience by, where would a self find itself in that overall situation? There's consciousness, there's mind, and then all what is happening, arising and passing away.
Yep. Yeah. So mostly what people are caught up is with their mind, Dr. Vipula. They are caught up with their mind games and they are living in that mind thinking that they are who they are, because this mind is very, 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 very powerful and like very, very tricky. And then you always get caught up with your mind and, yeah, so if you take like, so yeah, so I lost there what I wanted to share with you, Dr. Vipula. Coming back to the question again, what you were asking, can you just,
The
yeah.
person in between the mind and the consciousness. Now, there is consciousness. You just explained that anything can arise.
Arise in the,
And that's the role of the mind. Is it?
yeah. The arising is the mind, this
Okay.
whole arising. And then if I tell you the mind is, like if you want to understand more towards the mind is all the memories, mind is all what you see, mind is all what you hear, mind is all what you feel, and mind is all what you taste, and what mind is all what you smell, and that is the whole performance. It's the form, and deep within it there's a consciousness. It just everything can happen, but that the mind is what creates is so beautiful, in a way that even though we in spirituality we hammer the mind, but at the same time it keeps so beautiful. I mean, look at the sunset.
It is.
Your mind, so yeah.
Mm.
And what creates them? It's your own mind. What a creation, Dr. Vipula, what a creation. You got to be so there. Like if you see a little ant, how much creativity is then that in little ant, and how much love involved in that little ant. To force the creator to create such a beautiful creation, like a very, very subtle, but how much craftsmanship, like the Japanese people, like their craftsmanship is like, I was amazed by that. So in that end, I mean, look at the love of you, the creator. Look at the love of the creator. How much love is being given to that small ant. And look at your hand,
So perfect. It's perfect. All right. Agree. But
perfect.
there's so much of suffering. I'll give you one reason. In that, there's so much of suffering. I'll give you the reason. There's fear. Okay, leave out all the other things. There's fear of tomorrow. There's fear of future. There is fear. I mean, the death is the biggest one. Okay, let's leave that aside. But there is always a fear. I will not have my financial means to sort out the problem. I will have the fear of, my children. What will happen to their education and how will they find their future? You will also have the fear of relationships, and you will also have the fear of certain illnesses that, with which you are suffering. Maybe it might lead to, something you don't know. Why suffering then if the mind is so beautiful and so perfect? There is also suffering.
yeah, that suffering also there. Like I will tell you one thing about doctor. One time I was going through a really a really sad sad situation, you know, like a heartbreak situation at the point. And then I remember I was crying for this particular event. I was really crying. And Dr. Vipula, this crying was very different. I was crying for seeing the love of the Creator.
Was it why me? Was that the question?
No,
It is
no,
okay.
no, not with that crying volume. There was the crying like many years back. There was my crying like in the many past years. But at that time, I was seeing the love of the creation, why I had to go through this, because there's so much love that I had to go through that. And the universe made me to go through that event was because of the love of the Creator, because the very thing I had to go through in order for me to find the true nature. You know, everything that you've ever gone through, Dr. Vipula is going through, even the so-called, so I understand the pain. It's unbelievable. I am someone who's gone through. I have gone to the bottom. I mean, I've shared that. I've gone to the bottom, and that's why I touched the peak. That's the peak. Because I was in the bottom, you know. And so, yeah, so the suffering, if you can see the suffering you go through is back again there. So you can't see the big picture yet. You don't know the creator's love for you, you know. You don't know what is the big picture, and that's why you think I'm suffering, because you're so caught up with your whole self and the survival, and then you're so caught because you can't see the big picture. You go through that in order to find who you are at the end. That part you cannot see, you know, and that's the creator's plan, and that's so wise. It's unbelievably intelligent. But the problem is you doubt because the mind doubts. You don't trust.
Yeah, but this can't be understood through knowledge by any means, right? I remember there was this famous Venerable Valpala Rahula who wrote What the Buddha Taught way back in 19, I think 50s or so. He had in his speech at one of the convocations, you know, I faintly remember it was in Sinhala, and he said uh, there is an engineer and there is a person who is doing janitorial work, and said the universe needs both of them, and but who has divided them? You know, you need both to keep the balance going. So suffering is, you know, I mean, I'm not suggesting the people should not fall ill, but if people don't get ill, I mean, the doctors will be out of work, you know, probably. I mean, this is a perfect balance, isn't it? It's a very rude way of
It
saying.
is. Yeah.
No, because why I raised that question is, you know, people get into spirituality because of the suffering. But as you rightly said, it is also a signal. It's just a signal. Look at yourself, and this is a signal for you to see the wholeness, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You cannot see sometimes when you're going through something like that. You're so caught up with the mind, what is saying, that the mind story. You're so caught up with that, and you cannot see what's the big picture. And you got to trust it. You know, you got to trust that. And in fact, I found it funny. Like one time I was working with, like, I was just removing weeds with this from the
Yeah.
ground, like with a helper,
Yeah.
you know. And then she was telling about like like a tragic event that happened to her. And she said very interestingly, she said, Baba, ek hi thing, like she was talking in
Mm.
Sinhala, like she said, like, and that is the year that is the God's will, and I surrender. I realized this woman, even I mean, she's a helper, very simple woman. She understands this. She understands that, she surrender and she trusts the process. But for people who have trained their mind the entire life, like when we go to school, we are being trained our mind. When we go to the university, trained our mind, So the mind doubts, and that we are not able to surrender or to the trust. And I am someone who had very difficulty trusting. And what is the opposite of trust? Control. I'm telling it in the like the way I share it with my clients, And we don't trust the process. We can't see the big picture. And to be honest, Dr. Vipula, one thing I want to share, and the suffering I've gone through, real shit. If I sorry for my language, and there were real points in my life, like I had so much suffering, and so where I wanted to share.
When you were going through the same experience.
Yes, I lost it.
It's okay. Now, there was this that Facebook post, and I try to translate it in English, and it says, it is strange that people call a technology which is the nature, and then you look at your smartphone and you say that is technology. You get my point. You say
No, can you explain
there's a massive technology which you call nature without calling it technology, and then you look at your phone and you call it technology.
Technology, and then you can't see the intelligence which is at
Exactly.
all time, all the time.
That technology.
That technology, and imagine that technology, just like you got to be meta,
Inexplicable. That kind of thing. No, but that day I was asking, now, okay, now these are very basic things. Now, say I'm looking at this phone, and then I just leave it behind, and then I talk to you, and then suddenly I look for my phone and I cannot locate it, and then and I just look for it, and then I turn back, and then I see, okay, my phone is there. If it is a Maya, if it is equivalent to a dream, if it is equivalent to a mind creation, are you suggesting, yes, it will be there where you kept it? Because that is what the story makes, how shall I say? It's a perfect story. It becomes a perfect story. But in reality, it's not really happening. From the viewpoint of consciousness,
nothing is really happening.
yeah,
Even our interview is so happening.
Yeah, that's the crux of the matter, isn't it? Finally, that's the seeing through, isn't it?
Isn't it so crazy, Dr. Vipula? Right? Isn't that so crazy? Everything is happening at the same time. Nothing has ever happened.
And nothing will happen either.
Nothing will ever happen, and plus nothing ever happened. Nothing is ever happening.
Okay. So that recognition, for example, that understanding is beyond the human story. That understanding is...
One thing, Dr. Vipula, it just came to me what I was trying to to share. When I went through the awakening, as you talked about the suffering, I realized something really interesting. Everything that ever has happened in my life has happened exactly how it's supposed to happen. This is so profound, Dr. Vipula. The reason why, because how much we question whatever is happening, like this should have, that should have, should have, could have, would have, Like I realized even if it's like an ant crawling on my hand at 12 a.m., It has to happen exactly how it has to happen. So imagine all your suffering, you got to go through that. Exactly. And it just, you got to go through all that. And it's the universe intelligence you have, you are to given those experiences because you are being guided to find who you are, you to your true nature. Yeah. And that's what I just missed, like lost the last
Right.
time.
So that confirms what you told me in the first interview that I had with you. You said each person has a right to see this because everything that person,
Everyone's
he
right.
or she or whoever, it's a right through these experiences. It's a right that the person can come home, so to say.
Home, it's a coming home. It's like going and begging from all the houses in the world and they coming back to your home and realize that it was always under your bed, the treasure was always there.
So isn't it correct to say that there is a movie which is already programmed, and then you
Yeah,
are running the movie and you are playing a role in the
total.
movie, and
Yeah,
that movie you will continue to play that movie until the end.
yeah. Until the end, you're just playing it. It's entertainment you're getting, like you're just on your own having fun with your mind.
But that has a huge problem with regard to the free will and choice of individuals. Now, one may raise the question and challenge you. Are you suggesting that, you know, yeah, but then you have given the answer. No, it's. I mean, don't I have the free will? I think I have the free will and I do things, but still, it's the program. Okay, okay, got it. Okay, I think we should tell that to the audience. Now, I'll raise the question and you give the answer because I mentioned it quickly. You, because of what you said, it is programmed. It's exactly the way it should happen,
I
including the.
said, doctor, it happens exactly how it's supposed to happen in this life. But we have this questioning because we have programmed our mind like in a way that this has to happen in different way. No, even the so-called breakups, even what you have the toughest times in your life, you're going through, there's a reason for it. Like you got to trust, trust. That's the password. Trust. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I tell this to my clients, like trust. People can't trust.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
came up with the question of free will. Now that
yeah.
concept of free will, according to the mundane usage, I mean, you have the motivational speakers, you have so many things, but this free will and choice is a very much part of that program, isn't it? It is still, then it becomes a bit of a joke, isn't it? Even to talk about free will and choice, if that is exactly the way it will happen, including the thought.
Yeah, I don't want to tell that, like, to tell in exact, it's like a duality, Dr. Vipula. They ask it's a 50-50. There is a free will at the end, like it just, we cannot say, because people are always, whatever I say, they go caught up because our mind is our mind is this is like they go and to a one extreme and they think, oh, this is how it is. It's all 100% willpower and I am driving this.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like, and then it's completely out of my will and then it's just completely going
yeah,
like automatically, like, no,
yeah.
I'm telling
Okay.
it 50-50. There's involvement in yours too.
Right, but then that contradicts what we were saying, like it is programmed in such a way that that is exactly how it happens. Now, if there's a free will that you are bringing in with 50-50, where it will contradict the version where something, a decision that the person who thinks he is a separate person, a decision will change course in that program, or it will be something like hacking the program.
This is something very tricky, Dr. Vipula, to be honest. It's like the way I made decisions, for me, it's not mind. It's like for me, the decisions are obvious. Something that I want to do, it's obvious. It's not this or that. Like most of the people, what would I do? Should I do that? Should I? But for me, it's just right in front, and I do what is obvious to me. Do this one, this interview, that this is the obvious thing for me to do at this time.
I
Yeah.
I mean, just to clarify that question, say I come to you for counseling, and then I have a problem, and you look at the overall picture and you give me the best possible course of action with which I will pursue. All right.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the overall from the consciousness point of view, there is this dialogue, someone coming to you with a problem, and the answer arises with which, yeah. So then that, it doesn't matter whether you are talking about free will or choice. That free will or choice doesn't even arise in that case, right?
Yeah, the thing that why I'm not like telling that Dr. Vipula the
Yeah,
free
yeah,
will,
yeah.
I take it out because the people just keep it like, okay, then we have nothing to do. Like
Yeah, yeah.
let the everything just like
Uh,
we don't need to even put an effort in order to find or to the truth, and that's just another
yeah,
extreme. That's why I just
yeah,
don't go.
yeah.
Because
You can kill a person. You can do anything, and you get away because that's the way I am programmed. That's the way.
we are go get hooked with one extreme.
Mm. Yeah, it explains. If you give the right
Yeah.
advice to the right person at the right time, well, that's what happens. So be it, isn't it?
Yeah. See that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I mean, I love this metaphor which Muji has given. The ship is moving with a big engine, and you are busy trying to row. You're busy. I mean, that's he's comparing.
In reality, what's happening with, if you can remember, with the flower is just blooming, and then if you can remember, one time I was
Yes.
talking about a flower, and then flower just planted and then blooming, and then flower starts thinking, like, imagine flower has a mind, I am doing all this, but reality it just happened on its own. Yet like just it's tricky to tell something like that very directly, because people have minds, they get caught up with the one extreme, and then they just give up everything, and like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. Because then it is taken in mundane level at a very kind of
yeah.
a,
But it's like a play at the end, like it
yeah.
just comes together, and then you start taking action, which is
Mm.
like, like it's just the play, both duality coming together.
Um,
Yeah.
but this is freedom, isn't it? I mean, the recognition of that is freedom. Exactly.
It
Uh,
is indeed freedom, Dr. Vipula,
uh,
seeing this through like
mm,
the whole Maya, or the whole illusion, and yeah.
Tell me, now, okay, we went on for about 1 hour, and I will try to come to a conclusion because the question or the topic that we took up today was uh, finding me, that is myself. Finding myself is finding the purpose of your life. Now, the facts that surfaced was that the person whom you think you are is not true. So you need to go in depth and ask yourself what you consist of. It can happen by going deep into your own self, or probably
Yourself.
yourself, and
Shall
probably
I
make
add something,
yeah,
Dr.
no,
Vipula?
I want you to conclude. I'm just, because I'm telling you as a person who understood what you said, and then the other one is you can also observe what's happening out there, and probably you might arrive at the same understanding. So if you can just summarize with this, who are you, or finding yourself.
Yeah, the basic question is, I'm coming back to the again, like the main deal, which is find who you are. When you go finding who you are, the biggest trick your mind plays on you is the memories. You have a whole lot of memories which you are so attached, And this is a hook. Like imagine you leaving that also aside, and that's a big deal, because we are invested in these memories. And that is one bit tricky, because if I tell your birth certificate and you're born on this date, and these are just, like it's in your mind, and then you are so invested. Imagine for you to find who you are, your true who you are, even those stories, your fictional stories, at the end it's a fiction. Your whole life story is a fiction. I mean it, your whole life story is a fiction, and this whole memories, you're very invested and hooked with that, and you believe these memories. You got to even leave aside those memories, and that's not easy. That's not easy. And that's why it's coming back to your innocence, How can you leave those aside? It's not like to be honest, like one time, like I just mentioned this quickly, like there was this one client came from Greece, and this lady is an engineer, by the way. And we had this session with her. And one time she had gone through like she was alone at home, at one point, and she fell down like suddenly, and then no one else was at home. So she was found out like 2 days after or something like that. And then she was go to the hospital, but it was too late. And then all her memories were lost. Like imagine how her engineering career gone.
Yeah,
Just
completely.
like that, just like that. So I'm telling you these stories, like look at our life, how fragile this life is. We think like she must have thought like the engineer, how much we give
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much well, and then just like that it's gone, you know. And this is our life. And but like for her, like I mean, for her, like it wouldn't be easy, because it's just something has happened to her brain, so it's not easy for her to go through that. And it's like somewhat there, or that was easy to like just do something onto your head and just get rid of
Yeah.
all. But it's not some shit. I mean, something like that. It's not some sort of thing like that. But if you can, like for her it happened accidentally, and it's just a fault in her brain, but that's not what I suggest. Like what matters is that if you can let go even the attachment to your memories, you need to come into such an innocence, because you're so caught up with that memories, Dr. Vipula. I know, because I was. We are rooted with that. You are rooted. You rooted with those memories, you know.
Which is not true, really. It's
No, it's a fiction. Your whole life story is a fiction. It's a nice novel, nice story.
yeah, exactly. So it was a nice way of ending this, Dilmi. Once again, I think we had a very fruitful discussion, and eventually, once this is uploaded, I sincerely hope that the spiritual seekers uh, will have a message from this conversation with which they will benefit one way or another. And also, this is for us, you and me, this is a calling, and we just go on. Sometimes it doesn't matter. These are all um, unplanned discussions. We just discuss the topic and then we go on. And it resonates, I don't know the real meaning of that, but resonates. It is felt. If I feel it, I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel that too. So Dilmi will come to an end for this, and we will see you in a few days' time. So thank you very much
I'll
once
tell
again.
one more quote before
Yeah,
we
go
end
ahead.
the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I tried to find myself and I only found God. And I tried to find God and I only found myself.
Would
By
you mind?
Rumi. By Rumi.
Would you repeat that, because I think there
Yeah.
was a sound problem. I tried to
Yes.
find.
I tried to find myself and I only found God.
Okay.
And I tried to find God and I only found myself. By
Yeah.
Rumi. And that's a
Okay.
beautiful quote which summarized the whole thing. And Doctor, one more thing, I want to thank you. And I'm like the audience supposed to be very grateful. The reason why I'm doing Sinhala videos are because you suggested me in the beginning. I want or whole the audience knows that. And I'm very the audience supposed to be very thankful and thank you for having me and just spreading the truth.
Yeah,
And
great. Yeah, that's nice.
okay.
And I remember we said at the beginning when we started, if one person gets it, and that's what we want through
I
this.
have more than one people like emailing me, so many resonating with that. So yeah.
All right, we'll see you later, Dilmi. All the best.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.